Okay, so the class is being recorded, and this is me, Dr. Sameh, and this is A230A, and this is our first week in the summer semester. So we started last night, and it was kind of fun. We have given lots of knowledge and information. We have gone through the different time periods that we're studying this semester around. And I enjoyed what I said, and I'm hopeful that you found the experience and what I said informative and interesting too. So tonight is, or perhaps marks the beginning of our application. We've been talking about theory for quite some time, and now it's about time that we started applying the concepts and the ideas together on the works that we have. And like we said, we're starting with Othello. Othello is an Elizabethan play, and it very much represents the time and the spirit of the time. Again, the time was all about liberalism, was about governance, was about progress, geographical discoveries, and not about religion or exclusively religion anymore. Remember? This time or that time period saw the flourishing of other important playwrights. We have in mind people like Christopher Marlowe, Thomas Kidd, and other playwrights whose main dramatic form was the tragedy, whether it is mainstream tragedy or revenge tragedy. Most of the plays that we're going to deal with in the Elizabethan age are revenge tragedies, where everybody is obviously killing everybody else, like you're going to see. That also applies very much to The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster, as we're going to see. Let's do it. Let me share the slides, and we are on our way. Again, this is A230. Can you see that? I'm sharing my slides. Can you see them?
Not yet.
So, very strange. Now you can, right?
Yes.
So this is me again, Dr. Sameh, and this is my telephone number, and this is my email address. You may need it. Last time we spoke about a lot of things. We navigated the course and the different signposts and stages that we have on it. We're also going to unpack some of the concepts and the terms that we are likely to meet as we proceed ahead. By now, you know what Renaissance is. Spoke about Renaissance, and we said that it's the time that came after the medieval period, and it is a reaction to it. The Middle Ages were times of darkness, were time of morbidity. Nothing happened, no progress, no development of any sort. And the Renaissance came as a reaction, and we said that Renaissance means rebirth. And what is it that they were trying to give life to? It is the learning of the Greeks and the Romans. They skipped over the medieval period and went all the way to the Greeks and the Romans. They got inspired by their sciences, by their literature, by their philosophy. Remember, people like Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, those people have affected the people in the Renaissance very much. We're talking about the period, we're talking about perhaps late 12th century, early 13th century, until perhaps the 16th or the 17th century. So this is the Renaissance. It's an educational and a cultural movement that started in Italy, but I promise you it didn't stop there. It went all the way to other parts of Europe, and it went. We have seen its manifestation in England, especially with the Elizabethan England, where we have Queen Elizabeth I ruling, and she was this kind of monarch or queen who sponsors and funds the arts, who encourages people to go out of their way and create in the different fields, science, geographical explorations and whatnot. So Renaissance is about revival, reviving something. What is it that they were reviving? Again, they were reviving Greek and Roman learning and thoughts. Again, Elizabethan is after Queen Elizabeth. And this is the adjective from Queen Elizabeth I. Jacobean is the period that came after Queen Elizabeth died. And this was similar in terms of the culture, in terms of the ideas and ideologies. Early modern is the whole period. So we talk about the Renaissance as Renaissance, and we sometimes call the Renaissance the early modern times. Um, when we go to, of course, what we're doing is fictional. I mean, when we talk about plays and novellas and novels, this is all fictional. Fictional means that this is not history. Okay, it may be inspired by reality, but this is fictional. This is coming from the imagination of the author. Non-fictional, when we talk about news and history and biographies and stuff. Of course, by now we know what a genre is. We spoke about genres and we said that these are literary types. If we talk about literature, so under literature we have novels as a genre, we have plays as another, we have short stories, and this is a third genre. And genres can be recognized because they have patterns that get repeated. By now, when you see a novel, you can recognize it because of the repeated patterns in a novel. You have characters, you have a plot, you have setting, point of view. This is what makes it a novel. What makes a play as a genre would be the fact that you have a conversation or a dialogue. You have people behaving and acting in a certain way on the stage. Um, Novellas, we spoke about Candide, and we said that's not a novel and it's not a short story. It's something in the middle, but it has the resemblance to the novel and the short story. And poetry is another genre. And even when we have like a genre like novels can be subdivided into subgenres under novel. You have, for example, the Gothic novel, fantasy novel. You have romantic novels, romance, historical novels, and so on. And under plays as a genre, you have so many subgenres. You have comedy, tragedy, and under poetry, you have so many poems. You have the sonnet, the ballad, the ode, and so on. Um, when we talk about plays, because this is actually what we're going to do, whether we're talking about plays or any other genres, we examine them, and we study them, and our approach is either thematic or textual and formal. Thematic means that we focus on the themes and the ideas and the ideologies. But when we say textual or formal, it means that we focus on what makes this tragedy, if it is a tragedy, a tragedy. We focus on the formal aspects, the form. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Again, plays, we said that when we talk about plays, we have subgenres like comedy, tragedy. When we talk about tragedies, we talk about tragic heroes and tragic heroines and so on. Let's move on. We spoke about uh, the play Othello, the play The Duchess of Malfi, Candide, the poems by the Romantics. These are all called texts. These are words and phrases and sentences and whole paragraphs and whole conversations. We call them text. But in order for you to to fully understand a text, you need to have context. A context is whatever is around the text, whatever surrounds the text. What surrounds the text? It's the age, the background of the age, the ideas and the ideologies, the norms of society. So this is what we mean by context. And I remember very vividly yesterday that I told you that you cannot have a text without a context. You need to understand the context in order to fully appreciate the text. What did we say about the context? If we talk about Othello and the Duchess of Malfi, do you still remember? What is the context for Othello? Any idea? Remember what we have said yesterday?
Doctor,
Yeah, go ahead.
did you mean about the Othello and Desdemona? They start in love, and in the end, they
No, this is not, this is the text.
okay.
It's what came in the text.
So
The
okay,
ideas
text
that we spoke about,
Difference
is the
between the
the
frame.
poor
hierarchy,
and rich?
the hierarchies that we spoke about, the system of government, the ideologies, the ideas, the background, whether it is social, political. This is what we call context. So again, in order to fully appreciate a play like Othello and understand it, you need to check the context. And this is what we did yesterday. Okay, so we're we're talking about the treatment of love and death in Elizabethan and Jacobean drama through two representative plays. What are these two representative plays? They are Othello and the Duchess of Malfi. So what do we know about the two plays? We know that the dramatic framework that both Shakespeare and John Webster used was the tragedy. Remember what I said about tragedies? You have this trajectory moving from prosperity to adversity, from fortune to misfortune. So you have in the middle a hero who is going to be called who we are going to refer to as tragic hero, and he is going to move from prosperity to adversity. He starts off very he starts off very prosperous, very exceptional. I mean, the tragic hero by nature is very exceptional, talented, well loved, and respected. But somehow he has a flaw, and this flaw somehow prompts him to make errors, and one of those errors happened to be very fatal, and he dies tragically at the end. This is the trajectory of the tragic hero. We said that in The Duchess of Malfi, we have a tragic heroine, and this is quite unprecedented. We haven't heard so much and so often of tragic heroines. We only heard of tragic heroes. So, again, because it is a tragedy, The Duchess of Malfi is going to also be exceptional and everything, but she has a flaw, an error of judgment of a sort that would prompt her to make errors and mistakes, and she has to pay for that at the end, and pay she did. So, what do the two plays have in common? They are both tragedies, like we said, and both of them have characters who marry beneath their rank and status. Um, Desdemona marries beneath her race, the fact that she is white, and uh, Othello is black, and the Duchess of Malfi marries beneath her rank. She is the queen of the land, and she gets married to Antonio, who happens to be below her. He is only her steward, an assistant of a sort, a commoner. Um, I would like you to look at this. As you can see, these, do you think this is European? Where are you likely
No,
to see?
this is
No, no,
African.
African.
Africa, right? Okay, that's good. Yeah, Africa again. What do you think of this? Can you see this? This is what?
This is a ball.
Not really. This is what we call a ram. I would like you to compare it to this cutie thing. Can you see them? This is cute, right? White. Nice, right? Okay, this is what the popular imagination have for blacks in the Elizabethan age. Okay, so black people are like this ram, and white people are so cute like this white ewe. Isn't that scary? This ram? Don't you think it's scary? It is,
Yes, it
right?
is.
It is. Okay. So according to the popular imagination, the European white popular imagination, this is the new union. This is the union between Othello and Desdemona. This is Othello, the black ram, and this is Desdemona, the white ewe. What do you think of this? What do you think of this union according to the Elizabethans, white Elizabethans? Do they bless it? Do you think they are
No.
likely to bless this kind of union, marriage?
No,
No, absolutely not. Okay. Okay. So I shouldn't be repeating myself. This is all about the Renaissance, and we spoke enough about the Renaissance as being a cultural and an educational movement which started in Italy in the yeah, what's her name? Yeah, Layan, you come and go, you come and go, and this is very disruptive, by the way. If you're using your map, you need to use your desktop or something, your laptop. Layan, hello. Or I'm not sure I'm
Yes,
pronouncing the name
doctor.
correct. And you're coming
Yes,
and going, and this is very disruptive. Stay.
I'm really sorry. Yeah, my phone got off.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's fine. Okay, so we're talking about the Renaissance, and what we're doing is part of the Renaissance, and the Renaissance endeavors to kind of resuscitate and bring back to life the learning and the philosophy of the Greeks and the Romans. Um, Again, we normally refer to the Renaissance as the early modern times too. During that time, writing and drama writing and performance flourished in England. And remember what we said about having specialized companies, acting companies, and those acting companies were sponsored by the rich. Uh, Othello is one of those products. It is a tragedy. Um, and of course, we know by now what a tragedy. At least we know that a tragedy ends with the death of its protagonist, who happens to be a man of high birth and exceptional abilities. Over time, we will have instances and cases where we also have tragic heroines, like the Duchess of Malfi. So the tragic hero can become a woman in later times, and this was quite unprecedented. So typically, a tragedy involves a conflict between a remarkable individual and a powerful shaping force such as fate, God, or authority. And this powerful fate or force limits the aspirations of this protagonist, and it finally destroys him. This is typical, and this applies very much to Othello, where he is on one side, and you have authority and the norms of society on the other, and obviously they are on a collision course, and the end result would be the downfall or the tragic downfall of Othello. Um, the play Othello is also a revenge tragedy. So it is both a revenge and a domestic tragedy. When I say a revenge tragedy, it means that we're going to have a great deal of revenge. Characters taking revenge from each other. So in a revenge tragedy, the revenger struggles to find justice in a world in which the privileged abuse their power and fail to govern with fairness. The aim of a tragedy, according to Aristotle, is to create catharsis, to purge strong emotions, and spectators are supposed to leave the theater relieved. So this is the end goal of a tragedy, is to make you as a member of the audience relieved at the end of the play. It purges you and it cleanses you of your excessive feelings. And this is what we call or refer to as catharsis, then peace. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Maram or Mariam Omar, you're also using a mobile and you come and go, and this is very disruptive, mind you. So it's a tragedy. So we're saying that Othello is a tragedy that is both domestic and uh, revenge. So what do I mean by domestic tragedy? I mean that there is this focus on the domestic realm of the family. We're talking about people in marriage. We talk about love being ubiquitous. And this was very much there in Renaissance drama. So Othello is the story of star-crossed lovers. Their love was not approved by society and ended tragically. Do you agree with this statement? Let me write it down and let's talk about it. Othello, I would like you to read this statement. Othello is the story of star-crossed lovers. Their love was not approved by society and ended tragically. So who are the lovers that we're referring to in Othello? Obviously, we're referring to Othello and Desdemona, right? And what do I mean by star-crossed?
The
Star,
destiny.
yeah, star-crossed
Their
means
path
that
don't meet.
it's the if we say that the winds were not in their favor, they
Yeah.
they were destined to perhaps die, and so they were not lucky, in other words. And their love was not approved by society. Why didn't society approve of their love?
Because he's black and
Hmm.
the most white.
Yeah, yeah. Again, because they belong to the two different races and two different colors. They don't kind of honor and respect the hierarchy of color and race in their society. And the end result is that they die very tragically at the end. When we talk about tragedies, we're going to see that those tragedies normally focus on upper class or on upper classes. And marriage within those upper classes was a political and an economic transaction, where the desires of the bride and the bridegroom meant little. So they wouldn't ask the bride whether she likes the one who is going to marry or not. And this was of no value for them. So it's a transaction, it's a marriage of convenience, if you like. Again, Othello questioned the nature and function of marriage and the social boundaries and expectations of society. Theirs was a marriage for love, but obviously it didn't work out. So, marriage for love in such plays involves not just defying the family's authority, but also marrying outside one's race or class. Again, Othello was a Moor. Moor means somebody who is dark and who lives in Africa, especially in North Africa, what is now is referred to as Morocco and Algeria. So love fails because of its internal weakness and also because of the external pressures. Othello, impediments to love. So love we know, but what about impediments? What are impediments? What is the meaning of the word impediment? I'm asking everyone. Impediments to love.
Results and game.
No. So impediments are blocks or challenges or hardships or
Obstruction.
yeah, yeah, um, yani things that obstruct the movement. So you want to move forward, but something stands in the way. So this is impediment. So what are those impediments that we have in Othello? Those impediments to their love,
The society not
Different,
accept.
society,
different
Different
race.
backgrounds.
different backgrounds, the hierarchies, right? Yeah, absolutely. So impediment means obstruction, hindrance, obstacle, any physical, and this is not what we want. Okay. So the tragedy of Othello, the Moor of Venice. This is actually the title of the play. So it is the tragedy of Othello. The word tragedy here is a technical term, and by now we know what tragedy is. So it's the tragedy of Othello. And who is Othello? The Moor of Venice. Like I said, the word Moor was used to refer to people who have dark skin who used to live in North Africa, in Algeria. Again, tragedy. What are the associations of tragedy? Sad ending, the death of a great or a noble person. Of course, by now we know who Othello is, the main character and the tragic hero. And the word Moor is a reference to the Moors, who were the Muslim inhabitants of North Africa, modern day Morocco and Algeria. And Venice is one of the settings of the play. The play is set in Venice and in Cyprus. We'll talk about Venice and Cyprus, and we're going to start with Venice. So, Venice at the time was a great center of civilization, and it was a city state at the heart of a vast commercial empire, reliant in military strength, drawn where necessary from outsiders like him. So, the idea is that we have the main setting of the play is the city state of Venice. It is very rich. It's a commercial empire, and they don't have a big army. That's why if other countries invade them, they may get defeated. So, in order to prevent this from happening, they hire soldiers from outside to defend them, like Othello. Othello is from North Africa, and he is a Moor, and he is black. That's the connection. You would ask why Othello is there, why Othello fell in love with Desdemona, how come they met, and he is from Africa. It's because he was in Venice defending Venice against the Turks. At the end of Act One, we're moving from Venice to Cyprus, and the shift is very significant because if Venice is the seat of government and civilization and civility, Cyprus is the complete opposite because it's a coastal city where you have the storm, and of course, you know the associations. They have a sea, and normally, when you have a sea, life is quite unpredictable. Yeah, for all the beauty of the sea, it can be very unpredictable. You can have storms, you can have all kinds of natural disasters happening. So this is Act One, Scene One. Of course, you need to be reminded of the fact that if novels are divided into chapters, plays are divided into acts. Tragedies, more specifically, are divided into 5 acts. So an act is divided into a number of scenes. So we're talking about Act One, Scene One, where we have what we call the exposition of the play, the opening, where most of the characters are presented. There are hints about the theme or the topic of the play, and the main character gets delayed for some time so that we can build suspense and excitement. Who do we have in Act 1, Scene 1? We have Rodrigo and we have Iago. We will get to know through the revelations that they are sort of conspiring against Othello. Iago works as an assistant to Othello. He is white, and of course, Othello is black. He is jealous of Othello. Rodrigo is in love with Desdemona. He has every reason to hate Othello because Othello is competing with him for the love of Desdemona, and obviously he won because Desdemona fell for Othello rather than Rodrigo. So as you can see, uh, uh, um, my friend's enemy is my enemy, like they say. Rodrigo and Iago are allied in their hatred for Othello, and they are conspiring against him. So Iago has been using Rodrigo's money for some purpose not yet made clear. So we now know that he is telling Rodrigo that I'm going to make sure that Desdemona fall in love with you. You deserve her more than the black Othello, and he started to kind of take money from him. Um, so Iago addresses Rodrigo in a polite form because obviously Rodrigo is higher in rank than him in social status, uh, using words like thou. Thou means you, but it's a polite form. Through the revelations, we also know that Iago has been passed over for promotion. There was a promotion, and who decides those promotions? It's none other than Othello. Othello is the one who decides. So he passed Iago over, which means that he didn't give him the promotion and he gave it instead to Cassio. Again, this incensed Iago and he became very angry. He feels angry and even humiliated. Behind Othello's back, Iago is being very offensive, very mean in his language towards Othello. He is sarcastic, mocking, and very disrespectful. He refers to Iago, I'm sorry, to Othello as morship. And obviously, this is a play on the word instead of saying lordship, which means hadretak, um, your excellency, stuff like that. It is a play on the word more, which means somebody who is black. So there is pun on lordship or worship about army superiors. The audience hear about Othello from many people before his entrance in scene 3. The audience feel that some kind of conspiracy or disruption is lurking, is looming on the horizon and is about to take place. Again, we have occasions where we get to know more about Iago and his character. What we notice about Iago is that he has this verbal inventiveness. He has those verbal vibes, if you like. I mean, he can be very, evil, but you cannot, if you're not aware, you can fall for him. You can admire him. So he has this verbal inventiveness. He's very sharp. Um, and of course, it is clear from the conversation between Iago and Rodrigo. Rodrigo is his answers are not, they don't show us that he is, um, kind of smart, or he has them brief responses, while Iago is very quick and is very sharp. So Iago is presented from the start as bluff, which means very frank and blunt and cynical. Again, if you're not keeping your guard up, if you're not alert, you can be led to appreciate Iago's alertness. And again, this is something that this is a trap that we are warning audience against. Again, he has his own agenda. He doesn't like Cassio because Cassio got promoted instead of him. He hates Othello because Othello is black, and because Othello is the one who decides who gets promoted and who doesn't. He refers to Cassio in very demeaning and degrading terms, referring to him as an arithmetician. When you refer to somebody as an arithmetician at the time, it means that as a soldier, Cassio only knows about the abstract theory of war, but he is never involved in the practicalities of soldiering. So this is, of course, a very backhand, demeaning remark made by Iago in order to belittle Cassio. Again, talking about Iago, who teases and baffles others by speaking in a way that appears at first to be impressively sensible, but which one, but on close inspection seems empty. And it reveals that he is not a well-meaning individual. At one point, he would say, I'm not what I am. Okay, so I'm not what I am means that you may see me in a certain light, but I'm not who you think I am. I am hiding a lot. I'm hiding grudge against other people. I am hiding schemes and plans and conspiracies. He has his own peculiar ends. He has his own specific aims and ambitions. Again, because of how important Iago is, he's going to be given spaces on the stage where he is alone on the stage in what we call soliloquies. He's going to be given a soliloquy or two in which he's going to reveal to the audience what he is thinking of. And obviously, what is he thinking of is always bad. He has evil thoughts. He wants to trap people and trick them. Again, we're trying to make a profile of Iago through his encounters with the different characters. We're trying to piece the different pieces of the puzzle together. And one of these pieces is the idea that Iago is a racist. Racist means that he is white, and he is a white supremacist who believes that the white are better than all the other colors and all the other races. So he is a racist, and he refers to Othello in using racist slurs. At one point, he would refer to him as the Moor. Of course, by now we know the negative associations and undertones of the word Moor. He's going to also refer to Othello as thick-lipped. People from Africa, and there is nothing wrong with that, of course, have thick lips. So if he refers to Othello as thick-lipped, it means that he is demeaning him, he thinking he's belittling him. Again, whether we're talking about Othello or Iago, we're going to find them using figurative language, poetic language. Figurative language is language used in a non-literal way, like when Iago talks and says that he wears his own heart in his own sleeve. Obviously, he doesn't wear his own heart on his sleeve. What the expression means is that he can, it can feel to, I mean, open one's heart. He talks unreservedly about things. Of course, Othello is the master of figurative language, being noble, being exceptional. He uses figurative language, poetic language, until he dwindles, until he starts to act in very strange ways. Again, we're talking about poetry that is being used, and this is called blank verse. It is unrhymed, iambic pentameter. Again, why are we using blank verse of all the other types of verse or poetry? Because it suits and befits plays, and in order for the characters or the actor to be able to memorize their lines easily. So again, using blank verse is good for two reasons. It is easy to say a line like this so that it sounds natural because the rhythm is based on the rhythm of everyday English speech. And also iambic pentameter lines are easier to memorize than larger lines or more complicated rhythm. Again, back to the language of Iago. Iago, like we said, is very provocative. He doesn't stay put. He always speaks. He always instigates and incites hatred among and between people. At one point he will meet Parapancio. Parapancio is the father of Desdemona. Parapancio, of course, up until this moment, does not know that his daughter has eloped with Othello and she got married. He loves, obviously, he respects Othello, but when he gets to know that his daughter uh, fell in love with him and got married to him, he becomes very furious and angry. And Iago is going to play on that. He's going to provoke Parapancio, referring to Othello as being an old ram, and referring to Desdemona as being a white ewe, and he's saying that an old black ram is uh, tubbing your white ewe. This is very offensive, of course. This is a reference to Othello as being old, as being a black ram, and this is obviously referring to Desdemona as a white ewe. So offensive, so animalistic. The imagery is very animalistic. So Othello's race is being connected here, and obviously there is this reference to darkness and evil, because those are things that Europeans used to associate with people from Africa. So the reference here is that Othello is this black, dark, huge, individual who comes from Africa, and he is defiling and is spoiling and destroying the honor of white European gods. And obviously, this is very offensive, and this is very provocative. Again, if anything, those pronouncements tell us a great deal about Iago and his views of love. And you can always compare what Iago thinks of love and what what Othello thinks of love. According to Iago, love is about bestiality. Love is animal union and nothing else. I mean, for him, love obviously is not platonic in any sense. This is consistently Iago's way of representing love. Love for him means animal lust, and when it combines with the idea of racial difference, the standard imagery of racial hatred taken to an extreme, to violence, is very near the surface. So this is his view of love, lustful and very animalistic. Nothing platonic, nothing pure and innocent about it. Again, if we're talking about Propencio, we are going to find that Propencio is also a white European. It is true that he loves his daughter, but for him, a daughter is like a piece of property that he has every right to dispense with the way he likes. So Propencio believes that he has every single right to kind of decide for his daughter. And that's why perhaps he is so shocked when he gets to know that she eloped with Othello and got married to him. So his attitude to his daughter and to women in general is that he sees them as mere possession, property, something that can be that is in his hand and possession, and somebody is robbing him from it. And this is, of course, a suggestion that he has the right to choose whom his daughter gets married to. And then comes the big moment, the moment that we've been waiting for all long. It's the entrance of Othello. Again, we have heard so much about Othello from Rodrigo, from Iago, and even from Parpancio. We're now going to uh, hear Othello talk and see and judge for ourselves. Um, so when we meet Othello for the first time, we find that his opening words are brief, but they are very eloquent. He knows what to say and how to say it, suggesting a man of seriousness, dignity, authority, and weight. And you would always compare him to Iago and the animal and lustful language that he uses. You wouldn't compare Othello and his language to Iago's and Rodrigo's talk. Um, and of course, Othello has ears. He got to know that the whole town is uproaring. People are angry because, especially Propencio, because of what happened, the fact that he is now married to this woman. And of course, Propencio is accusing him of stealing his daughter, accusing him of practicing witchcraft on her, doing like a magic spell on her. So Othello, when he comes, he has to defend himself. And he started in a very eloquent way by saying that his services to Venice shall outtongue his complaints. So if I compare my services to his complaints, I would win. And this is actually a very striking metaphor that conveys in a very vivid and compact way that his known virtues and achievements shall speak more loudly than Parapancio's accusations. And he starts to even go further defending himself and saying, it is true that I may be black, but it doesn't mean that back there where I come from we're not royalty. No, I come from a royal family too. I mean, I don't talk about it and I don't boast about it and go about bragging about it, but this is true. We are also Wilad Nas. We are something. So he says it would be boasting to announce his royal status publicly, yet it is part of what counteracts the accusation that might be made against him. Again, you would feel right from the very start that Othello is put in a corner. He has to defend himself, and over time, you will feel that I mean, he is losing the confidence that we know about him as an exceptional character. So Othello has a tendency to present himself to others as if he is not sure how they will receive him. Again, in his conversation, he's going to talk about his love for Desdemona. And obviously, he is so proud of this kind of union. So Othello's language has rhythm and idiom that contrast sharply with those of many of the characters around him, not only Iago. So his characteristic rhetoric gives an impression of space and vastness. He is so eloquent and he is so, uh, he knows how to use words and his language is very musical even. Another example of his eloquence and his excellent ways with words is the word unhoused. He uses it, and unhoused means that he is a foreigner or he is not a citizen. He's saying that it may be true that I am unhoused, I don't belong here, but again, what I did for this country is way bigger and way uh, more valuable than whatever Parapancho and others have done combined. For no Iago, he's talking to Iago obviously, but that I love the gentle Desdemona, I would not my unhoused free condition put into circumscription and confined for the sea's worth. Again, if anything, it shows how um, respectful he is, how decent he is, and how eloquent and noble he is. Um, so obviously, when we talk about being unhoused, this is a reference to Othello's condition, reflecting the fact that he is not a citizen of Venice, like Parapancio, who is obviously housed. Uh, Again, what we notice about the language of Othello is that he is using images of nature. Again, because of his exceptional character. Of course, he feels that he is also exceptional. That's why he always connects himself to closer elements of nature, like the sea, the mountain, big things, the desert. So Othello's speech begins to reveal a profound sense of his difference from those around him in a number of ways. He refers to himself as being free, which is a hint of his awareness that he was once a slave. It feels quite natural that he should use the imagery of the sea. It is, after all, a sea-bound republic that he serves, and he will soon be upon the sea or the seas again. Again, we have this tendency of Othello to create an image of himself as linked to the forces of nature, the sea, the sky, the deserts, and the mountains, rather than to the order and manners of the city and civilization. Again, through his revelations, we get to know how much deeper and broader Othello's life experiences and history are if you compare him to other people. Again, his language has a sway with us. I mean, he can influence us. Again, it's not only the language, it's also the wonders and his exotic life story. And this is perhaps one big reason why or how Desdemona fell for him. Um, and you would ask, how could Desdemona, the white girl, um, would fall for him? And especially when you get to know that in her father's eyes, she is a maiden never bold, the epitome of feminine modesty. Um, Again, perhaps she fell for the eloquence of Othello, his language, and his exotic life stories. Again, because of how elevated the language is, because of how eloquent Othello is, critics are referring to his language as music. So we have this idea of the Othello music. So the Othello music is a way of describing Othello's characteristically heroic mode of speech. The claim that he lacks eloquence, obviously, uh, is a conventional modest disclaimer. I mean, it's like you speak very well and you try because you're perhaps um, modest and you have humility. You say, no, I don't speak very well. But of course, we know that he is very eloquent. He has a way, in a way with words. That's why some critics are referring to his language as being musical. Again, this is very clearly felt when Othello defends himself using grand oration with sweeping rhythms and global and even cosmic comparisons. And of course, you would compare all of that to the more prosaic language of those around him. Um, Again, the one who is credited for popularizing this concept, none other than Wilson Knight, the very famous British scholar. So Othello music, according to Wilson Knight, refers to the note struck by this kind of poetry, which is not to say Shakespeare is representing a poem. We don't have a poet, but that he is conveying through the kind of poetry Othello utters the romantic glamour. Uh, um, I mean, he is very musical in whatever he says, the idioms that he uses, and also the stories that he tells. I think we're going to stop on this note, and we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we resume. So, do you guys have any questions so far? Hello, hello.
Yes, no, doctor, everything's clear.
Okay, so we'll meet in 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
We can.
doctor.
Okay. Okay, good. I think we left you the whoever was creating the WhatsApp group, Haneen, right? Um, Haneen, are you here?
She
Yes,
actually
I
share a
did.
link.
Okay, can you leave us the WhatsApp group link so that everybody can join in the
Yes, sure.
in the chat
Yes, I'll do
area?
that now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I do encourage everyone to be part of the group so that we can and easily communicate if there is an emergency, if there are files that I would like to instantly share with you. I would like you to be part of this WhatsApp group that Haneen has created for us. So, how do you find the experience so far, Othello, and what is happening with him, Iago, and so? What are some of your impressions? What are some of the takeaways so far? Hmm.
Can I say?
Yeah, you don't have to say, can I say على طول.
Okay. I think it's a very injustice to judge someone just because of his color.
Mm. Yeah,
That
that's a very interesting idea. The fact that you don't, yeah, no discrimination, right? Skin color is irrelevant. Yeah,
you can't
that's
take a privilege just because of you are white.
yes, yes, that's true. Any other takeaways? And
I
any
was
other?
actually I was
Yeah,
moved by how Othello was how he was very good when he wanted to talk. What was the word? Adequate.
mm-hmm,
I was moved of his attitude and how he was confident to prove his love for uh,
mm-hmm.
I forgot her name, but this kind
Desdemona.
of yeah, this kind of actions and ways of trying to prove their personality to the father is very moving and stunning. Uh, yeah, I was I was just moved by his action and his way
You
of
feel that he
behavior.
was genuine, right? He's very
Yes,
genuine
he
and
was
very
very genuine.
sincere. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you, Hamid. Any other interesting thoughts? Othello, Iago, Parapansio. Okay. So have you done any reading? Have you yeah, I know it was such a short period. We only met yesterday. But out of curiosity, perhaps, did you go out of your way and try to kind of read Othello, a summary of Othello, a plot summary even? You didn't consult Gemini, for example, or Copilot or ChatGPT out of curiosity, who Othello is, what he stands for,
Not
none
yet.
of the
Hopefully,
above.
I will do today.
Yeah, I would like you to engage in a conversation with Gemini because I'm using Gemini. Gemini is perhaps better than Copilot and the other um, bots. Talk to him, ask him or her for that matter. عشان يعني our female colleagues don't get angry with me. Engage in conversation with him. Read as much as you can retrieve. You're going to like it. I even sent you something yesterday, but it was very generic. So it was about the age. Did you read? Did you listen to that? The podcast that I created. It's based on our class, by the way. Did you listen to that? You didn't notice that I sent you an email right after we finished last night? Mm,
We have received it, but not yet. We didn't read.
okay. It's PowerPoint presentations and a link to a podcast made and created based on what I said last night.
Doctor, do you mean the link inside of the PowerPoint presentation or the link in the email?
The link is in the email.
Yeah, because there is another link in the PowerPoint presentation, but it doesn't work, the YouTube link.
It's a link to my YouTube channel, and it has playlists of all the Othello classes that I have done over the years. I'll check the link and perhaps send it back again tonight on the WhatsApp group, inshallah.
Sure.
Right, let's move on. We have lots of things to cover.
Doctor,
Yeah, go ahead.
actually, I have a comment about the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind, يعني, to
I
participate,
don't
even
mind.
if I'm later.
Even if you're what?
Even if I was late to answer your
That's
question.
fine. Can you pronounce your name for me?
Mayas.
Mayas. Okay. Fine. Yeah, go ahead, yeah, Mayas.
You asked us about the story, so I find has a little bit of similarities of the story about Antar and Abla. So I found it like there's a common ideas between them.
Yeah, there is a common thread. You're true. You're right. There are lots of this. I mean, it's this, universal and classic and perennial love story. I mean,
Yes.
where you normally have one individual from one community or group or um, even religion, and somebody else from a different group or community, and they fall in love, and then they meet all kinds of hardships, right? I mean, even Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare himself, where they belong to to different families, and those two families are feuding, fighting, and they fall in love. And perhaps the connection, Mayas, is with the color, the fact that Antar
Yes.
was also black and Abla, I think, was white or something. He was a slave, and she belongs to the master class, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
kind of.
that's yes, true. Yes. Okay, let's move on. And then we'll move on and we try to um, make a profile for another character. So how many profiles have we created so far? Have we created a profile for Iago?
Yes.
Have we created a profile for Othello? Yes,
Yes, we
right?
created two.
Yes. Have we created a profile for Parapancio? Yeah. It's not that much of a profile. It's not long or big because Parapancio's role is not that big, right?
He's the father,
Uh,
right? The king.
yeah, yes. He is the father, true, but he's not the protagonist. So it's only natural that when we created his profile, it wasn't that big or that long. Uh, so again, the starting point with Desdemona is why she fell for Othello. Remember, she is a white girl, and of course, she was domesticated. She was taught never to perhaps mix with people from other races, and why? I mean, we keep asking, what made her fall for Othello? Is it Othello's glamour that has entranced Desdemona? Has she fallen in love with the man or the wonderful story that he tells about himself? Is it the man or his stories? So these are questions that we keep asking ourselves. Why would or how would a white girl in her right mind fall in love with um, a black individual? Is it
Because
his
it's
character
supposed to be
or
a
is it
hero.
the stories that he tells? So these are questions that we keep asking. So it feels both moving and natural that a young woman who we can assume has been closely confined by her father and certainly has had the limited life experience of a patrician female should love Othello for the dangers he had passed and for him to love her that she did pity them. This is kind of complicated. It's it's a kind of reaction and then reaction to the reaction. So again, according to one interpretation, she lives in a very limited world. She has very limited experience. She's confined by her father and by her society. And it's only natural when she meets a guy who has those lovely stories to share. He climbs mountains and kills lions and does this and that. She may be uh, taken away with all of that. And again, his language, remember? So that can be a reason. But why? Why did he fall in love with her? One interpretation that he felt now that she admired me, it's only natural that I'm going to fall in love with her. Of all the other people who are perhaps casting, racist looks on me because I'm different. She's the only one who is pitying me, and she took interest in me. She fell in love with me. It's only natural that I'm going to suspend all my my intellectual capacities and fall for her because I am perhaps twice her age. If she is 20, I am 40 or 50, right? Um, so again, this is one aspect of the character of Desdemona so far. We'll talk more about Desdemona. Remember, in order for her to fall in love with Othello and then elope with him and eventually get married to him, is it easy for a girl of her status? Remember, her father is a senator. She belongs to the gentry. She is quite something. Her family is quite something. What do you think? If she forgoes all of that, if she defies all of that and gets married to Othello, what does this tell us about the character of Desdemona so far? Is she weak?
Of course, she's very she has a courage, so she
Yeah,
can do
she's
all
yeah,
that.
yeah. She's very correct. Unless, and we don't subscribe to this idea, unless she is under a magic spell, which she isn't, right? Unless she is under a magic spell, she is very courageous. She is very valiant, right? Beyond measure. to go against her family, to go against his traditions, her traditions. Obviously, this is big, right? This is very daring. The reason why I'm stressing this is that at one point in the play, we're going to see or have a different Desdemona. Wait for it. Okay, so over time, we're going to perhaps see a different Desdemona. And now we're moving to the second chapter in the book, and this one is, uh, um, again, it's Othello, and it's honesty and difference, men and women or women. So when we start Act 2, we have a change of setting. Remember what we said about setting? Setting is time and place. Let's focus on the place. Where were we, or where are we until the end of Act 1? I'm asking everyone. Where are we?
We were in Venice.
We were in Venice. And what did we say about Venice? Is it a good or a bad place?
Is complicated because someone want to take the place, or there is
It was a traveling.
What did we say about Venice? We said it's a commercial empire. People are rich. They have a senate. They have a parliament. People are civilized. So that makes it a good place, obviously. A place of civility, good behavior, stability. Okay, so we're moving and leaving all of that, and we're going all the way to Cyprus. So we're moving from Venice to Cyprus. And why would we have this movement if people are settled where they are in Venice? Obviously, we have something big. We have a war looming on the horizon. The Turks, the Turkish army is going to attack or invade. The Turks are going to invade Venice. So the Venetians, rather than waiting for the Turks to come inland and attack them, they were going to take the battle to one of their outposts, one of their outskirts, another city that obviously was related in one way or another to them, which is Cyprus. And why Cyprus? Because Cyprus has is a coastal city, and it has a sea, and this is where the Turks are coming from. Okay, so the shift is a little bit threatening. If we know that Cyprus is an island, if we know that Cyprus has a sea, we conjure up all the associations of the sea. What do we associate the sea with? We associate it with storm or storms, unpredictability, violence, change, and all these things are all against what we have seen in Venice. In Venice, we have stability, we have civility. Life goes on uninterrupted. Everything is predictable. So alarm is all is alarm and confusion as the engagement with the Turkish fleet is awaited and then dispelled. So they went, all of them went, Othello and Desdemona and everybody else, and Iago, they all arrived safely in Cyprus, waiting for the battle to start. And all of a sudden, there is a ceasefire. Okay, so the Turks and the Venetians arrived at a ceasefire or a truce, Truce, Hudna. Okay, so what is it that they are going to do? Othello and Desdemona and everybody else were going to stay for a while and then go all the way back to Venice. But until this happens, and obviously it doesn't happen overnight, they have to kind of rest. And during this lapse of time, this resting time, lots of bad stuff is going to happen. Again, it's very significant that all the bad stuff happens in Cyprus, not in Venice, because Cyprus is associated with violence, unpredictability, bloodshed, and whatnot. So, what is going to happen? Iago is going to ensnare Rodrigo in a plot against Othello. And this time it's through discrediting Othello, Cassio, I'm sorry, whose gallantry towards Desdemona has suggested to Iago how he can use him. So Iago is the villain of the piece. He is very cunning. He he sees opportunities. He can see an opportunity, and he can in everything. And um, he noticed, for example, that Desdemona and Cassio are very civil towards each other. They are very gentle and they talk. They talk in a very respectful way. And he says, no, I'm going to play on that. I'm going to somehow convince or insinuate to Othello that there is some kind of affair between Cassio and Desdemona. Okay, and this is, we only hear about that only in Cyprus, how significant. Okay, so when we go to Cyprus, all hell is let loose. We have a storm starting Act 2, and it represents, and this is typical of Shakespeare in his plays. When you have storms, we have a premonition as well as a sign. It's about the instability of the world that the characters now live in. Again, the powerful image of the sea is very much there. The sea is both the source of power and the source of danger. Again, we're given the opportunity to revisit what Othello says, and also compare what he says when it comes to love to what Iago says about love. Remember what we said about Iago's views? They are very lustful, they are very animalistic. Othello's views are very noble, very platonic. According to Othello, if it were now to die, it were now to be most happy. This is different. Nothing animalistic about it. He is saying, he was quoted as saying that if I have to die now, I will be the happiest man on earth because I am in love with this Desdemona. How noble. Again, in Act 2, for much of the time, Othello is absent from the stage, and this is very dangerous because if he is not active, somebody else is active, and obviously this somebody else is Iago. So Iago is given free rein, is given a bigger space because of the absence of Othello. What do we know about Iago so far? We know that he's very powerful and that he is very manipulative. Who else do we have in the picture? We have Cassio, who may appear as the smooth libertine, which is an aspect of his character that Iago is going to play on. So we said that in much of scene 2, we don't see Othello. And this can disrupt the balance of the play. What do you think? And obviously the balance is shifting towards Iago. Isn't that dangerous? Remember what I warned you against at the beginning of the play when we said that if Iago has his way on the stage, is giving more space, you may even fall for him. You may admire him. In spite of the fact that he is evil, you can admire his verbal inventiveness. So again, if Iago is given more space than Othello, then what's the point? Why are we calling the play Othello and not Iago, right? Why are we saying that Othello is the main character and not Iago? So this is a danger that is that Othello himself is going to pay very heavily and very dearly for. So the balance is shifting towards Iago, and despite the references to Othello in his absence. For here is where we see Iago's technique of exploiting the weaknesses of those to whom he pretends loyalty coming into its own. He uses Cassio's drunken rage to destroy the man's position and reputation. But when Othello first comes in, we notice how forceful and commanding he is. Again, Othello may not appear much, but once he appears, you can feel how forceful and commanding he is. Again, the fear is that Iago's presence and Othello's absence can mean something significant. So, what do we know about Iago? Now that he is given more space and he is assuming more roles, we know that he is also a professional actor, that he is devious and he is controlling towards us, others. Uh, and we get to also know that Othello is even becoming a victim of Iago and his manipulation. So many audience, this is what we have forewarned you against right from the beginning. Many audiences find themselves enjoying Iago's vibes and energy, and they feel complicit in his plotting at this point, while the increasingly distant figure of Othello commands respect rather than fellow feeling. Again, uh, it's very dangerous for Othello, where he is losing our sympathies. Yeah, it is true that we respect him, but it will stop there. With Iago, we like seeing him, hearing him, even if he is manipulating others. It seems that we are enjoying it, and we're to the extent that we feel complicit. We feel that we're part of this schemes and plans. And here comes a point in the play where we need to stop and think. Now that Othello is diminishing in stature, and now that Iago is assuming more space, let's look at a group of scholars and see how they look at Othello. Some of them are pro-Othello, which means that they support Othello all through, and some others are anti-Othello, which means that they are against Othello. When they talk, those who talk about Othello in positive terms believe that Othello is a noble man and that Othello is exceptional. And if something bad happens, it's not because of Othello. It's because of this. It's because of Iago and his scheming and plan. The other side or the other group believe that whatever bad things, um, whatever happened to Othello was self-inflicted. He did it to himself. And they even go as far as saying that if we say that Iago is the one who is responsible, it means that we're shifting the focus from Othello to Iago, and obviously this is wrong. I think we don't have time to expand on those ideas. This is going to be our first point when we meet again next week. We're going to stop on this note and with this item. And until we meet again next time, I would like you to have read the play, whether as a summary or the text. If you can finish the whole text, that's fine. If you cannot, I would like you to read a summary, and I'm going to be sending you podcasts on Othello. Before we leave, if you guys have any questions, come to the mic.
Dr. Sameh,
Yes.
I send for you email by request to and the midterm. Can you
I
check
think I
it in the
said
Outlook?
not now. I'll answer you, and I said we'll talk about that next week on when we meet on Sunday, inshallah. I'll give you details about the first quiz and what time it will be and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
for the time, sir.
You're welcome, Ya Abdulaziz. Anybody else before we call it a night?
Thank you,
Doctor,
doctor.
doctor,
Mm.
did you take the attendance?
Yeah, it's taken automatically, Bara.
Okay, okay, then.
Yeah. Yalla, I'll see you inshallah next week. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.